Good morning, Kuldeep.
Good morning. I'm Kuldeep. Yeah, I'm speaking to other panelists also. Meanwhile, you have a brief chat with them. Mr. Vasudevan has joined.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Vasudevan. Good morning, Mr. Sunilja.
Good morning. Other session is going on right now, which would be, I hope, ending in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. We can start on time.
Good morning, Sagar.
Good morning, Mr. Vasudevan. Sorry, Madhav.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So you work from the Whitefield office, Sagar?
Yes, sir. I work from Whitefield.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Rajkumar. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kuldeep.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Sunil.
I hope everyone attended the inaugural session. Did someone attend the inaugural session?
I think it's still on. The inaugural is still going on. I think I just attended.
Yeah, it's going on another 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Am I
morning.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's audible.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Good morning, Netaji.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Netaji and others.
The audience is coming directly on Hive, so you will not be able to see the number of attendees here uh, uh, because they are going directly on Hive, not into WebEx. We have good close to 200 people on the platform.
How many people?
200.
Okay.
Here we may be able to see only panelists.
I was not able to join through the other computer. Okay, because I closed the other one. Mr. Kuldeep?
I hope we are all set from here through this call. Is Mr. Vasudevan joined in already?
I'm in. You're able to see me, no?
Uh,
Yes, I can. Can't see you, but I can see you.
You can't.
Not yet.
I'm able to see you. Yes.
Now I can see you as well.
Okay. Okay. I think we wait for Kuldeep to give a signal because the 10 to 11 there is one inaugural session is on. Mr. Kuldeep, you have to confirm. Can we start? Can we start? Okay, I'll start. Okay. Good morning to all. Welcome to this panel session on innovation in farming technologies and in relation to their product design and development. I would like to welcome the panel members, Mr. Sunil Jha, Director Engineering, Class India Private Limited, Mr. Mahadevan, CEO and Director, Solis India Technologies, Mr. Sriraman, Chief of Global Product R&D, CII Limited, Mr. Sagar, Vertical Head, Farm, Mining and Construction, Tata Elxsi, Dr. C.R. Mehta, Director, CII Bhopal, Mr. Rajkumar Arumugam, Director, Reliance Power Products Limited. Welcome. I think before we begin, I would like to brief about the Indian industry, Indian agri farming, how we are doing it.
Request all panelists to kindly mute yourself and unmute when you are asked to speak.
The Indian agricultural farming practices are evolved over a period of time. We are basically into tractorization, not into mechanization. And there is various diverse applications and demands. And we have more than 20 agro-eco zones and 50 agroclimatic zones. And geographically, we have a different produce practices for the same products. For example, rice cultivation, when you talk about Punjab, is different than the rice cultivation practices farming in the southern part of India. When we talk about the orchard, the spacing, whether 4 feet, 5 feet, is also make a lot of difference in terms of the farm mechanization and usage of farm equipments. And we have seen as an industry, the industry has, since 1970, if you look at it, there were only 20,000 tractors produced yearly with 25 models and 5 manufacturers doing it. In 1990, it has become 10 manufacturers doing 1.4 lakhs and more or less 100 tractor models were there. In 2010, this has become 20 manufacturers and 4 lakh tractors with 950 variants of different types of tractors. In 2020, if you look at it, we have 25 manufacturers, 8 lakh plus tractors, and close to 1,500 models and variants are being sold in the market. So the need for tractorization is growing, especially due to the non-availability of labor and change in the application and other processes. For example, rotavator was not never used maybe 20 years before. Now rotavators have become a popular in the field of farming. So like there is a change in practices are also happening, and we need to look at globally what's happening, how we can bring it into India. So with this opening remark, I would request Dr. Mehta to tell us about the Indian farming and where we look at the Indian farming can go forward. Dr. Mehta, over to you.
Thank you, Shri Vasudevanji. Good morning, everyone. Honorable panelists and participants participating in CII virtual conference on emerging technology for farm mechanization. First of all, I thank CII for inviting me to be a panelist in the important session related to farm mechanization. And as you know, that Indian agriculture employs about 50% of the workforce with GDP contribution of 16%, which makes farming in India less remunerative. If we see the land holding pattern of our country, India is a bottom of pyramid country, and our average land holding size is 1.08 hectare, and presently it will be around 1 hectare. So, and in that also you can see that 86% of our land holding is small and marginal. So that is below 2 hectare. Only 4% of our land holding is above 4 hectares. So which is suitable for individual ownership of high capacity energy efficient farm equipments. So that highlights the need for going for customizing of farm equipment, particularly to address the mechanization needs of the small and marginal farmers of our country. If we see the trend of labor availability in Indian agriculture, presently around 45 to 50% of workforce is engaged in agriculture, and by 2050 it is expected to go down to around 26%. And in that also we are seeing the trend of increase of women power in Indian agriculture. So that highlights the need for development of gender neutral equipment which can be operated by male as well as female workers. as you see that there is no possibility of increase in net cultivated area as well as labor availability in Indian agriculture is reducing over the years. So that highlights the need for going for intensive agriculture with higher input use efficiency in Indian agriculture. So if we see the farm power availability in India, presently it is 2.45 kilowatt per hectare. And the distribution of farm power is not uniform. Some states you may see that like states like Punjab and Haryana, those are highly mechanized and having farm power availability of around 5 to 6 kilowatt per hectare, whereas the states in eastern part of India are having farm power availability of around 1 kilowatt per hectare. In that also you can see that major power we are getting that is from tractor, as it has already been mentioned by Shri Vasudevanji that tractor sale is increasing over the years. But there is need for us to encourage the farmers to go for mechanization, and that is possible if we operate the machinery with the tractors on our farms. And if you see the trend of farm power availability, in 1971-72, 61% of farm power was available from animate sources, means human and animal power sources, whereas presently it has gone down to below 10%. So it shows that we are moving towards the use of mechanical power sources in Indian agriculture. If we see the mechanization level in Indian agriculture, presently it is around 45%. And that is also mainly in cereal crops, particularly rice and wheat. And if we see the mechanization level, particularly for cash crops like sugar cane and cotton, there is low mechanization. And if we talk about the harvesting operation, it is nearly not mechanized at all. So that highlights the need for going for whole crop mechanization. And if we see the mechanization trend throughout the country, in some part of country like Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh are highly mechanized states, whereas the like eastern part as well as hilly regions mechanization level is nearly low or nearly nil. Even in crops also, all crops are not uniformly mechanized. So that highlights the need for mechanization of particularly horticulture crops, which are poorly mechanized in our country. And in that also there is role of research organization, and our institute is Central Institute of Agriculture Engineering, which is engaged in basic adaptive and applied research in the area of farm mechanization, post-harvest food processing and value addition, irrigation and drainage engineering, and energy management in agriculture during last 4 decades. And we are also undertaking the human resource development and capacity building in the area of farm mechanization. And these activities are being carried out at our institute through 5 divisions and 4 All India Coordinated Research Projects. So these All India Coordinated Research Project addresses the local needs of different parts of the country. And during last few years, we have developed more than 300 technology and more than 100 technology have been commercialized to different manufacturers as well as entrepreneurs. So we are having good linkage with industry also. And but still we see that there is lot of scope for enhancement of mechanization in Indian agriculture. During the initial stage of our institute, we have developed the manually operated, animal operated equipment, and now that our trend is towards the development of self-propelled and tractor-operated farm equipments and machinery. And during last 1 decade, our focus is also towards the development of precision farm equipment for enhancement of input use efficiency, because the cost of the input are increasing over the years. If we see that the now trend is towards the development of multi-purpose equipment also, and during last few years at our institute we have developed some of the equipment, like we have developed the potato combine, which is presently being imported from company like Grime in Germany. We have also developed the multi-purpose hydraulic platform which can carry out number of operations like pruning, harvesting, and spraying operations. And we have developed the tractor-operated rice nursery seeder also. In addition to that, we have developed a number of other equipments. Like recently, we have developed the multi-purpose hydraulic platform also, which can carry out operations like weeding, spraying, and harvesting, particularly in horticulture crops. So our focus is presently towards the development of equipment for other crops which are not mechanized, including horticulture crops. And during last 1 decade, our focus is also on development of precision farm equipment. So these activities we are carrying out through consortia research platform on precision farming. And under that also we have developed some of the important equipment like sensor-based sprayers, which identify the crop canopy and do the spraying. And it helps in saving of chemicals by around 50%. We have also developed the telemetry-based soil moisture-based irrigation system. So that also helps in enhancing the irrigation water use efficiency. We have also indigenized SPAD meter. Presently, SPAD meter is used for chlorophyll content measurement of leaves, and that is being imported. So we have developed the indigenous equipment. So, but these technologies, we are making attempts to commercialize such technology, but those technology need to be reliable. And presently, our focus is towards the development of autonomous real-time monitoring system for tractors, power tillers, even rice transplanters. We are also working on drones, use of drones for spraying as well as crop health monitoring. In addition to that, we have started working on use of robotics also for the operations which are difficult to carry out using the manual as well as mechanical power sources, particularly for like coconut plucking, black pepper harvesting. We are also working on application of IoT and AI, particularly in the area of irrigation and fertigation system. So that highlights that we have to move from the manually operated, animal operated to precision farm equipments for enhancing the input use efficiency in agriculture as well as to reduce the cost of cultivation of a crop. And we would like to continuously
Yes,
to
I
have a
think
good linkage
we
with
agree with you.
industry, and so the technology which are developed by research institute reaches to the end users. With these words, I thank you for inviting.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta. Like to invite Mr. Sunil Jha to give overview on the global or worldwide precision farming or other latest technology what is prevailing in the world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vasudevan. Very good morning, everyone. First of all, sincere thanks to CII for inviting me as a panelist for this important session. As you heard from Dr. Mehta on level of farm mechanization, the growth in farming technology has been very significant in past decade, and I foresee further exponential growth in upcoming 5 to 10 years down the line. I would split the topic of innovations in farming technology into two parts. One is machines and technology growth, and second one as the growth in product design and development. In phase one, it started with manual farming, soil to seed to market, and then basics machine for need of farmers. For example, prime movers as horse cart, smaller locomotives, etc. Further, it developed machines for higher performance, durability, and robustness. As if I take a case of combine, started with tractor on top towards self-propelled combine harvesters. Now in phase two, operator comfort, ergonomics, and advanced electrics and electronics features, for example, GPS, telematics, vehicle tracking system, multifunctional, and use of sensors, etc., are in focus for farm equipments. These phase 2 developments globally in Europe and America are significantly ahead of India. However, step by step, India is developing to cover up with these technologies. In next decade, the further technological development would be in the area of precision agriculture. Use of sensors, electronics, and softwares. I would say enhanced use of electronics and softwares, use of drones, digitalization as a whole with farming as service, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, autonomous driving, for which you have already seen some technology demonstrations in recent past by different manufacturers around the world. From farm machines design and development growth perspective, I foresee a major shift in approach to value-based design and development, and more importantly, shorter time to market through simultaneous engineering and non-destructive design validations. For example, the numerical simulations, finite element analysis, CFDs, MBDs, etc. Also, safe life design with optimal concept would dominate our fail-safe design in future in this tough cost price competitive market. The last but not least is environmental perspective. As in the technological solution to address straw burning, either through straw management solution at chopper or use of baler or reaper mulcher combination. And another important aspect is emission norms. For example, Bharat Stage 4, Bharat Stage 5 for farm equipments. These are going to be on high focus in this decade, as I foresee. So thank you very much.
Vasudevan, I think you have to unmute.
With this, I request Mr. Sriraman to share us his thought on challenges that we are facing on R&D in terms of product development.
Good morning. Thanks, Mr. Vasudevan, on the brief introduction. And also, I thank CII for giving me this opportunity to discuss in the panel. Dr. Mehta has touched upon initially, the agri-tech ecosystem, what's there, and some challenges. So basically, I would like to split the whole thing into 5 or 6 major challenges what we are facing. Number 1 is on the low landholding size, as he has already mentioned. Number 2 is on the return of the. See, agri-tech is a long-term business which requires patience from investors before generating the return. So this gestation period that brings to the next point, farmers will take time to develop full trust in all these technologies, newer technologies, what we are envisaging, which might affect the investor interest also. So that's the one combination is a challenge. And anyway, a lot of agencies are working to overcome this. The third one is on the talent retention in the whole. A lot of agri startups are there and enterprises are finding it hard to retain the technical talent in their own system to continuously update and bring the value to the system. And the fourth and the most important point what we are discussing is on the technology affordability. Farmers' income still a concern in major parts of India, making it hard for them to afford the agricultural technology. So that's where we feel that this definitely is a challenge in getting it to the right, pricing to the market. And of course, there are many technologies being spoken to. If we see from the perspective of the future technology, it can be broadly. I am coming from the tractor field, so I can talk more on tractors. But more important is, tractor is used especially in 1 or 25% or 30% of value addition to the whole of the crop pattern cycle. Of course, in the other equipments also play a major role in the agri technology, and a lot of agencies involved have to come together to overcome this. Especially if you take technologies broadly, I would say management platform is one thing, tracking the growth, planning what has been already talked as a precision agri. So the lot of startups are also working in this area, and the main challenge is the whole thing. The individual equipments are more or less, I would say, fragmented in this segment, which makes it difficult for the technology providers because of the scale. Unless it is value proposition is very clear to the customer or the farmer, and then there is a possibility that we can scale up. So in terms of how it is connected back to the design team, basically it is going to be more on sensors and electronics, and how are we going to overcome this challenge in various environment conditions the tractor is today working on. For example, the wetland cultivation is a deep puddling in certain states in the southern market. So whether we are having sensors capable of working in this, yes. As Mr. Jha pointed out, there are sensors available internationally and it is working fine. So the challenge for us is to fine tune those sensors and make it work for our agri field at a affordable cost. So that's the major challenge. In addition to that, there are many challenges in the auto steer. For example, there are challenges towards cost, of course, one, and also the dependencies like PPP, RTK, GNS, and the other satellite systems. Also, we need a lot of governance in this so that we will not enter into the coverage of the public places. So these are all some of the challenges. Before I will let others to also discuss on various other aspects. Thank you, Mr. Vasudevan, for this.
Thank you, Mr. Sriraman, for your now. Mr. Shagar from Tata Lexi to speak on the digital technology and what are the influence of this digital technology on the future of the agri mechanization.
Thank you, Mr. Vasudevan. I would like to thank CII for giving us an opportunity to speak in this forum as a panelist. So in terms of the topic that Mr. Vasudevan has given to me, so I'd like to split this into two areas. So one is on the design aspect and the other one is on the digital aspect. So when we look at the design aspect, so we look at product development from the concept stage, where we try to understand the requirement from the user perspective. We understand the environmental condition of operation. We try to bring those features in the design phase. So wherein we try to build the aesthetics of it at an initial stage, at a concept level, and we then go to the downstream engineering process. So wherein we try to adopt the requirements from field conditions. So these factors play a major role, and these can be adopted through the real-time design research activity that would be taken up based on the Indian requirements, Indian farming requirements, because of the varied reasons that we have in the Indian scenario, wherein we have different cropping soil that is available, different cropping methods that are utilized in Indian soil conditions. So this is one aspect in terms of design. So wherein we can try to optimize, as Mr. Sriraman has indicated, the cost is a major factor for affordability for a farmer. So now how to bring the latest processes in place in terms of value addition, value engineering, newer materials, try to adopt newer manufacturing process and ensure that we basically bring in the cost of the product at an affordable level for a farmer. So this is one aspect that I have to put forward in the design perspective. Now coming to the second aspect, so as Mr. Sunil said or indicated that the latest technologies which are in place in terms of IoT, in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of mechanized farming for precision farming season, right from the sowing part till the harvesting part. So there are a lot of development which has happened in the auto world, so which can be complemented and utilized in the farm segment as well. So if you look at the current scenario in India, so there are a lot of multiple OEMs which are at a stage wherein they have basically reached level 2 stage of autonomy and trying for field testing at this stage. But the challenge is how do we bring it and adopt to the design factor which can be scalable for the Indian farm equipment is a big challenge that we have to face from a digital perspective. So this is what we are basically together have to integrate and bring out digital and design part so that we basically bring in mechanization to affordable cost in the farming sector of India. So this is what I have to submit on this part. Thanks for this.
Thank you, Mrs. Sagar, for your opening remarks. The Agri implements small what? Mr. Rajkumar?
Sorry, I've just unmuted. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Vasudevan, and good morning to all the panelists and viewers. I think I'll start with the same point Dr. Mehta mentioned about 86% of the Indian farming community being small and marginal farmers who own less than 2 hectares. And mechanizing them has been and will be the biggest challenge. Even if you look at the labor part of the small and marginal farmers in their farming, I think the biggest saving will be out of that labor charges. And they try to manage mostly through their family members, manually or even animal driven. For lot many years, our effort of mechanization has not reached them because our efforts have been more towards tractorization and not the real mechanization. Where the affordability by these small and marginal farmers has been the major issue. Hence, the true mechanization will come through affordable, appropriate machineries only. And the sad news is we lag a lot in there, and I think we have a lot of catch up to do, particularly in mechanizing the small and marginal farmers. As I mentioned above, it's been tractors for many years, and that brings us a lot of focus now in innovating, manufacturing those needed small, affordable, and appropriate machineries. When I say small and affordable, what comes to our mind is normally these small power tillers only. They have been there for many years, apart from the tractors, and there is a large gap even there. The power tillers can't do all the work. So what is the innovation or a need there or the gap in small affordable machinery? Of course, we need solution even for the small farmers from land preparation till harvesting. Of course, even post-harvesting like balers and other bagging solutions. So we need small machinery solutions, affordable ones, in tilling, sowing, transplanting, intercrop operations, de-weeding, spraying, harvesting, bagging, baling, all those areas. And the second most important thing in when we talk about small machines are when we talk small, we always think that they have to be the small machine, where people have to walk behind. They can also be real small, really small, but ride-on kind of machinery where they are more comfortable for the farmers or economically operable by female farmers also. So it's not just walk behind. There are handheld machineries. There are more ride-on machineries also we talk about. And then the third important point which comes about is the multi-purpose of these machineries, and we have to make them, each of them doing combined operations. We say tilling and sowing, or harvesting and bagging, those kind of operations. And then all this put together comes the appropriateness of these machinery for the small investments. So basically they have to be easy to own, easy to operate, and of course easy to maintain also. Or to make it, to put it other way, they should be affordable to own, affordable to operate, affordable to maintain by these small and marginal farmers. The issues there are, of course, still remains the same. focus on mechanization of small farms has to be brought in to sort this out, and a lot of innovations has to happen in this area of the small machinery for small and marginal farmers. Of course, a lot of innovations recently happening also. Some of them I could just put. There are a lot of small startups and MSMEs who have got into micro tractors now, both on ride-on as well as remote operated. Hopefully, we hope all this comes into the market soon. And many precision seeders for small and marginal farmers, intercrop, mini, micro de-weeders, both walk behind as well as ride-on types. And also, I heard of some of the startups doing remote operated intercrop machineries. And of course, the mini combine harvesters. And not only for rice, when you talk about combine, always rice and wheat comes into picture. And a lot of innovations and needs to be done, and also works happening in terms of like maize, groundnut, potato, and also in horticultural crops. So these are areas where there are a lot of happening, and of course, a lot of future activities which needs to be done, and where there's things which have started are, of course, in small and smart. Both are needed through the use of electronics, IoT, GPS. And of course, when I talk about IoT and GPS, the cost comes into the picture, and making it affordable becomes the next big challenge. And another big challenge here is the prime mover for these small machineries. That's been the biggest challenge. I think that I can say one of the reasons why we have not moved much ahead of it. The engines, which works as the prime mover. And India, there are hardly 2-3 manufacturers who make small, lightweight engines, compared to our neighbor country, where there are about 200 to 300 small engine manufacturers. And that's another key where there's a lot of work needs to be done in terms of innovation as well as manufacturing. And then even there, the shift happening on the prime mover from the diesel or a gasoline engine operated to the battery operated machineries. And I think there is a long way to go ahead in terms of in terms of innovating these small machineries to support this small and marginal farmers. And to make all this happen, of course, industry and institutes have to work a lot, and a lot of innovation has to happen. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Rajkumar. Yes, I would now request Mr. Mahadevan to share his views on how digital networking and data information would help improving farmers' productivity, and how it can be looked at, not only looking at the machineries and beyond the machineries for the farming community. Over to you, Mr. Mahadevan.
Thank you, Mr. Vasudevan, and thank you, CII, for inviting me to this event. So, as Mr. Vasudevan introduced, I would like to explore the impact of digital technologies beyond the farm mechanization. So, I would like to start with 2 examples. One in the agriculture domain itself, with respect to a disaster mitigation situation. Another one is, of course, the COVID pandemic, what we are going through. So, talking about the disaster mitigation, event which happened in the month of April, when we had this large-scale locust invasion in the northern states. It was initially perceived to be a significant threat for the agricultural productivity of the northern states. And eventually what happened was the digital technologies like remote sensing, the weather forecasting, essentially helped us to predict or understand what is the lead time we have till we are able to react to this disaster. And also technologies like drones, which were effectively used to stop the invasion to a very or reduce the invasion to a very large extent, and reduce the impact of the disaster. So this is one real life example which we experienced during the course of this 2020. And talking about the non-agriculture, the COVID-19 situation is typically this vaccine development process, which was always a multi-year effort. If you look at the current situation, we are in a situation wherein one vaccine is already being started for administration, and the whole process was completed in about 9 months' time. And the background is a substantial digital technology presence in terms of bioinformatics, clinical data management, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and predictive technologies, which are all played a significant role in shortening the turnaround time and enhancing the impact of the outcome. So this is largely the two examples. And the way I would like to look at the digital technology in agriculture is as a system where you have an information loop, where we are talking about acquiring information. When I say acquiring information, it could be with respect to the fertility of the soil. It could be about the efficiency or the effectiveness of the seeds, what are being used for your cultivation, and integration of the weather data, integration of geospatial information systems which are with relevance to irrigation, and eventually how do you create an outcome for a farmer to deploy in his everyday practice to generate better yield. That is largely what I would want to discuss. And the other aspect is how do you train the farmers in using these technologies, not in terms of using these technologies, but in terms of how to effectively deploy the outcomes of these technologies in their farming practice. So these are probably the 2-3 points which I would want to discuss. Over to you, Mr. Vasudevan.
Thank you, Mr. Mahadevan. I would like to go for a small round in terms of the question to Dr. Mehta. And how do you foresee, Dr. Mehta, this farming would be coming to India? What is the possibility that we can localize the technology and in terms of commissioning?
This is very good question. We have initiated working on in the area of precision farming. There are some equipment, just I mentioned, like sensor-based spares. So now even farmers have also started adopting such technology. Even we find the use of drones in agriculture. Some of the innovative farmers have started using drones. So, but those technology need to be reliable as well as cost effective. Then such technology will be adopted by farmers. For example, robotics, if we talk about robotics, but robotics will be having application only in those operations which are difficult to carry out manually or using mechanical sources, or which are repetitive in nature. So there is scope for adoption of such technology in Indian agriculture.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mehta. The question to Sriraman. Sriram, how do you find this small harvester are going to be developed? Because the huge harvester cannot be deployed in a small farms. So what is the possibility that we can look at a sort of attachment type of farmer instead of a tractor on top harvester?
Yeah, I think there are opportunities in this area, but we have to also understand the overall Indian scenario today. A lot of contractors are coming into play, especially in this area. So there is sort of a good consolidation, I would say, and then it's like a migratory from north to south. They travel as high as 1,000 to 1,200 kilometers from north So this way is what is, it is developed at this stage. So going forward, yes, there is a possibility, but again, it all depends on how effectively we, because here the individual owners will be very less. And if there is a contractor who can buy a slightly bigger machine like what we are having today, then there is also, one is even with that, the economics is going to be an issue, because again, it is not all throughout the year. This is going to be unlike the tractor. Tractor has got, nowadays a versatile application, not only in the land preparation, what is happening in the crop cycle, but at the same time, a lot of other construction activities and off-road activities are also happening. So that sort of a thing is able to make the tractor grow significantly. So as far as today's scenario, I would say it is going in the contractor more to the extent of 80-90%, and to the individual, farmers holding this is slightly less. But in terms of, yes, development, we have to see whether there is, scalability possible basis the farmer choice. So I feel more like consolidation, what is happening is good, so that, the burden on the individual farmers will come down. That will definitely help, to sustain this farming community and farming practices better.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sriraman. My question to Mr. Sunil Jha is, how do we think the auto guidance or the talk about be helpful in the scenario?
Well, from the farming equipment perspective, India now has most of the machines which are in global market. For example, from field soil preparation management, you should take example tractors, rotavators, tillers, seeders, planters, etc., to crop care equipments like sprayers, spreaders, and harvesting as a combined harvesters, including post-harvest as SMS, reapers, balers, etc. Also, as we know, due to different geo-environmental condition in India, it needs adaptation to suitable size of machines fitting to the need of smaller to medium-sized field and farmer with multi-crops, which is still different from global development or developed countries. However, to answer your question, from technology perspective, I see below major areas which could be adopted and Indianized, as these are already in advanced phase globally. For example, digitalization of agriculture, which means I would say connected machines and farm management. For example, we have 365 farm net, wherein all the equipments and related farmers and communities are connected. Precision machine technology, remote sensing using drones. In automation area, use of sensors and softwares, as in, say, for example, in combine, the grain loss, grain quality, choking, sensing, etc. could be automated. Mechatronics systems or autopilot and autonomous driving, including process automations in manufacturing. And very importantly, under automation is predictive maintenance, for example, crop and structural health monitoring in machines. The third aspect is electrification and alternative energy. I would not like to go more in detail. The last one would be farming as services and industries through enhanced use of digitalization, GPS, telematics, etc. In all these areas, there is thrust in India already. However, it could be speeded up by adaptation to new technologies and, more importantly, import localizations towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, so that we do not reinvent the wheel again, but we cover up together with global development. I also see that there is a scope in adaptations of these advanced technologies from other industries such as aerospace and automotive as well, but of course at a very competitive cost level, which is very important from Indian farming community aspects. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Vasudevan.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil, for your words. I would request Mr. Mahadevan. He has talked about integrating and the system beyond the machinery. How do you foresee in the future the digital thing would help the agri mechanization?
Vasudevan, I just lost.
How do you foresee the digital technology would be able to support the agri mechanization system in the future?
See, it is eventually, if you look at primarily about how quickly you are able to provide feedback to a farmer for him to come up with his farming strategy on a day-to-day basis. The primary benefit would be the shortening of the time for him to react or respond to a given situation. That is going to be the primary benefit. There are technologies like the bioinformatics. There are technologies like remote sensing or the current generation technologies like artificial intelligence or machine learning, which can actually help the farmer to look at the future a little more accurately, making use of the past historical data and using these algorithms of artificial intelligence and machine learning to predict the future. Now, that is going to be the substantial benefit what this digital technology is going to deliver to the farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mahadevan. My question, Mr. Rajkumar, how do you foresee that people will move into autonomous vehicle instead of dependent, because we all know that the possibility autonomous vehicle can be a future?
Thank you. I think citing or seeing what's happening outside India in terms of autonomous operation of tractors or other machineries. I think it's going to come, and it's going to happen anytime sooner or later. And even in comparable land sizes with terrain situations, which is China, which is nearby us. I think already for the large farms, the autonomous vehicles have been started already. I heard that close to 3 to 4% of the large tractors which are sold are already autonomous and used. I think the big challenge for us once again would be, of course, how these autonomous technologies can be accepted, afforded, and also adapted for the small and marginal farming lands. But I think that's what is going to happen. Cost is a big concern, but certainly I think it has to be dealt with, and autonomous is the way to go. And I think it's a lot easier than the road-going vehicles. I'm sure it's the way ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Rajkumar. My question to Mr. Sagar. How do you see the data collection or feedback system which Mr. Mahadevan talked about, feedback into the system, how it can be corrected, would be a challenge in India to meet this thing, or we need to develop, how do you foresee the digital technology going to support the agri farming?
Thanks, Mr. Vasudevan. So if you look at the current scenario, so I'll speak in two terms. One is on the autonomous vehicle. If you look at the development that has happened in the area of automotive, it has reached a very good level in terms of implementing of autonomous. But there are a lot of challenges in implementing the autonomous in the automotive segment as well because of the restrictions that they have. But when it comes to farm equipment, so the advantage that we have here is one is you can have a geofencing, which basically helps them to reduce the amount of effort that is required to restrict the vehicle within a particular zone or obstacles. So that is one advantage that we have. But in terms of implementing this technology, we need to ensure that the cost factor is accounted in terms of bringing the local technology or bringing indigenous methods to adopt it for the existing equipment is a major challenge that we have. That is one part of it. And in terms of the current scenario in the agri industry, so there are a lot of there are a couple of PMs in India who are basically at a stage wherein they do field trials for autonomy. So that is as far as autonomous vehicles for farm equipment is concerned. Now coming to the other point, so if you look at the agri equipment, so in terms of remote operation for irrigation, so as it was discussed earlier as well, so there are a lot of progress in terms of new startups implementing these systems in the Indian scenario. So where they're basically leasing out the agri fields, trying to implement those systems and trying to bring those products to affordable pricing for the farmers. So it's not that it's far away, but I foresee that these things could be implemented in down the line in 5 to 10 years is what I look forward. Over to you, Mr. Vasudevan.
Thank you, Mr. Sagar. And the last question to Dr. Mehta. How do you, Dr. Mehta, you foresee that the research institute will be able to support the agri mechanization and farming practices change, because there is a sea change is required for you to adapt to a different level of precision farming if you are talking about. So how do you foresee this would be supported by research?
Actually, research institutes should not work in isolation. They should work in public-private partnership mode. And we are trying to involve industry also in some of the challenging areas in which we are working since the inception of the project. So the technology which is developed immediately reaches to the farmers. Another, we have system of extension also in our component, and we conduct the demonstration of the equipment which have been developed in our National Agriculture Research System at farmers field, and through that we try to popularize those equipments to the farmers. So this is our approach.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. I think I tried to sum up the thing. As we all understood that the small land holding is one of the major concerns, and which is there more than 86% of the farmers are holding a smaller portion of the lands. So consolidation of land would be one of the major concept change should happen. Only then we can use bigger machines. Otherwise, we use, like Rajkumar said, owning equipment would not be that much easy. Small equipment. Probably we need to go for a different type of thinking process. This is what I feel. And we have to look at a system wherein when we talk about the practices also should change. You should not look at the rice farming should be a wetland puddling, which Mr. Sriraman talked about. So this is going to be detrimental for the functioning of many sensors and equipments that's going to be used in a precision farming system. And when we look at the even spacing also needs to be looked at. If we have to use agri equipment, the today practices doesn't permit you to use bigger machines. So you have bound to go in for small size equipment. Like Rajkumar said, maybe manual or driven by a person or a handheld like this. So it is essential for us to look at the taking the global scenario, and we are ready from digital technology point of view in terms of looking at mapping the soil or understanding the condition of the nutrition requirement and so on. So this would be a futuristic technology that will be helpful for us to move forward in terms of optimizing the resources and reducing the cost of farming. To anywhere between 30 to 50% would be potentially saving in the nutritions what they add. And I think Shaga spoke about geofencing, and geofencing would surely help with the reduced manpower availability. Fleet management can be the type of operations. If autonomous is going to be there, probably this is going to be much more futuristic and potentially things to happen. And as I could get the impression from Mr. Mahadevan and Sagar, India is already ready with the digital thing. And it's a question of adapting it to suit the Indian agri farming. So already automotive is having many sensors and other things, and it's not a difficult task for us to adopt such things. We look at global positioning, GPS and IoT, in order to collect the data in terms of feedback system from the vehicle, and how this system can be integrated, and you can have the past data collection of what is the condition of that area and how we can do the performance of that particular products and vehicles. So with this, I would sum up that precision farming is not a difficult one, which is we are ready. I think as an industry also people are working on it, many of them. Autonomous vehicles also, like Rajkumar said, some of the manufacturers already started doing such vehicles. Experimentals all on, and in the future we expect things totally change in the approach of the Indian industry supporting farm mechanization. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with this last, I would like to invite for the next session, Mr. Akshay Shangman, the Director, Development and Commercial International Tractor, who is the moderator for the next session. Over to Mr. Akshay Shangman.